but it worked quite
Can't say.
well. Lasted 31 minutes. So I just
I've
gave
got
him,
a mate of mine in Perth runs only 30-minute sessions when he was doing. He now does work from his home, so maybe he's changed it now. He's got his home gym, but when he was working in the gym, there was 30-minute sessions up in the gym did, and he took in loads of money because like more people could afford it. He had a captive audience. He just filled his diary with them.
yeah, like it worked well. And then the other guy I had yesterday seems to see it as a long-term thing. He just wants to like go into his 60s being able to do stuff for himself.
That's cool.
Like, and he was like, my blood pressure was high. I was like, okay, we'll sort all that. We'll get you strong. We'll do this. And he's like a desk worker, so I just gave him all the exercises you need to do. I
If
was
you
like, that,
if your blood pressure's high, if you go onto the portal in the templates section, you have the Inferno reset diet. That is basically, this wasn't intentional, but it just happened to coincide that way. I built that diet to be used for somebody with low thyroid, and it happens to be almost identical to the DASH diet, which is the one that's very well known for helping people with high blood pressure. So you're looking at low to moderate protein, relatively high carb, moderate fats. So it's like 30% protein, 50% carbs. Um, the remainder fats, that'll work quite well. So if you've got that, then you just tweak it to find the macros for the one he's of his weight, and then just tweak the food to suit him. That'll work nice. And then loads of aerobic work. The drill with training. I don't need to help you with that part of it at all. But yeah, then you'll be absolutely fine. Ashling, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. I've decided to extend my stay in the West Country for a little while, in Somerset for a little while. So I was in Bath for the weekend, and then I thought, you know what? I'm an online coach. I'm gonna take a night in Bristol. It's only 20 minutes down the road, so I'm gonna go to Train by BB today. They sell guest passes, which I didn't know, and they've got a bunch of Prime equipment and Lance equipment. So I'm gonna be there at some point this afternoon, and then somewhere find a coffee shop for the supercharge call, and then plan for tomorrow's deep dive. So yeah, I'm just gonna start working in coffee shops around here.
Yeah, I was like, there's noise in the background. He's definitely not in his own, like, obviously I know the background you're not, but like, I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people work in coffee shops. I feel so awkward talking when I'm in a coffee shop.
That's like hold on 2 seconds. Mark's asking for the link if it's in the group. Also, that's just like when you made content for the first time, though, right? You know how you get more confident on camera. It's that I remember the first time when I recorded an Instagram story on the street, and I was like that, and I felt so. I did it like this, so you can see my double chin, just like hiding away. And now I don't care. Like the sooner you realise that people are too preoccupied with their own lives, then it doesn't really matter. I'm currently in the hotel, so I don't have a coffee because apparently for me to order a coffee in my hotel, I have to buy the whole breakfast. So I'm currently in the little waiting area of my little hotel. But right, a bunch of people having breakfast by me, but they seem to be enjoying themselves. McDonald's is a bit too far. I think that'd be really loud in McDonald's.
no, you could get some sales in there, I'll tell you.
I don't think those people are wanting personal training that are sitting at McDonald's most of the
time. Do I. Wrong spot, Kane, to be going for clients.
Just hand out some business cards, stick one on every table.
I reckon you could do it in KFC and be like, you're close, but it's not the right sort of protein we're after.
You could probably make it work, couldn't you?
I used to work at KFC. I should have taken advantage.
I don't know, man. I don't think that's what's that guy? And again, I keep calling him out on calls, which I shouldn't do because maybe one day he'll join. That's Jaden Lee, PT, the one who got in shape by eating Dominoes every day for 30 days, but he didn't get in shape. He lost about 2 pounds. But he works at Domino's. I don't think he's getting tons of clients. I think most of his stuff's coming through Sean Casey's course. My God, it's my pet peeve in the industry is anyone that does Sean Casey stuff. You'll know someone that's on Sean Casey's social media course because they'll all be doing over the top recipes every single reel. Here's my chocolate orange granola protein bars or something stupid like that.
Why do you not like him? Just out of curiosity, I know somebody who's doing the course.
It's not that
over the
necessarily the
top.
content's bad. No, it's not even over the top. It's virality over quality.
Okay.
That's the reason why I don't like it. And also because a lot of the coaches who are doing those reels now to go viral say on their marketing, I train busy professionals.
Mm.
And I'm like,
What?
who has the time? Who has the time? Busy professionals
To make a
stick a
protein
steak on
bar.
the grill to make a highly complex protein bar. So to me, I think a lot of them, from the coach's perspective, it's the most hard work that I will tend to do because they'll come with this niche on Instagram and this content strategy and actually no idea how to help the people they're actually attracting. So it's harder for me. I also don't like it because I don't see that the client experience is the end goal in mind.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the coach going viral is the end goal in mind, and I'm just like, virality's fine if you're viral for being good and helping people and being stand out in your game. If you're going viral for cheap tap, play the game a bit. Like the Simon Booth that plays the game, he puts blue lights on a lat pull down every time he goes to the gym, which I think is silly as well. But like at least when you go and pay him, it's like, what's the message you want to put out? Who are the people you want to help? I just don't think it's this. I think it's cheap social media tactics. But maybe that's why I'm not viral, maybe because I don't play the game very well. So I dislike the man.
Can you imagine how it would go down if you asked how many sets he had left and he's just putting all his lighting up?
Yeah.
Mate, you're going to be much longer. He's got a whole like sound crew with him.
I quite like Simon Booth though, to be honest. When you actually speak to him, like what he does on Instagram and the person is very different. And all the stuff I've heard about Simon Booth's course is very good. You know, I don't even dislike Sean Casey. I don't think I've now met the guy. I don't think he's an incredibly sociable guy, weirdly for social media. Speaking to him at the TMP event, like maybe it's just because he didn't know who I was.
He was that shy, wasn't he? He was that weird. It was very
shy.
Yes.
Yeah, for a man that's social media. But I just
is that the autistic one?
I don't know. It might be.
Sean Casey, definitely is.
I just don't. It's not against him. He's does a very good job of what he does. I just don't particularly like. I don't particularly like this thing where coaches now are more concerned about going viral than helping their clients. Like it's just a moral obligation for me. I just like, no, it's not what you should be doing there. But you know, I'm a stubborn old man who just likes nerd shit. Mark, how are we?
So, mate, how are you?
Yeah, mate, not too bad. Having enjoyed looking forward to a day in Bristol. So I'll grab this and then I'll go out for coffee and I'll find somewhere else to supercharge the call at 2:00. Cool. So to get properly cracking, oh god, I went viral Welsh Italian fitness. Don't even get me started on Welsh Italian fitness. Like I will say this about Welsh Italian fitness. At least Sean Casey he's just playing a viral game. He's not doing it at the expense of other people. I think Welsh Italian fitness is the worst of the Instagram reaction videos. Because he started well. The first reaction video he did, it was when James Smith criticised an autistic lad doing a rack pull. And he went, by saying that's not a rack pull. And he called him out going, look, this kid's trying his best. And I thought, oh, yeah, that's a good message. That's how to do the reaction videos. And then clearly it went viral enough that he kept doing it.
Now he's calling me out.
Now he's doing now he's calling out the people that, like people younger in the industry, which is the whole thing he was going against in the first place. He's done a complete 180 on his own personality. But let's get some numbers in here, right? Status check. So how many clients do you guys currently have on your rosters? 33, solid number. Kane's at 10. Cool, that's good. That's going up, Kane. And you're going to move over to gym properly soon, so that's good.
I reckon I'll do it today or tomorrow. I don't know. I've basically moved out.
Perfect. Good. So with one leaving this week, Ashling, just always worth the question, what is the reasoning behind the one leaving?
She is leaving due to financial issues, and her son is sick at the moment. She doesn't go into much detail about it, but she's having a really, really stressful time, and I think there's obviously going to be a lot of money have to be splashed out on the son as well at the moment, and they have holidays and weddings and everything abroad. And I actually offered her a discount, like a massive discount, and still no. So I was just like, you know what, I'm trying here, there's not really much more I can do. But I am a bit concerned, and I did say it to her last week that like things fell apart last week, and I was like, I'm a bit concerned now that we're actually finishing up and things are beginning to unravel a small bit.
Yeah.
But she hasn't even looked at my feedback. So what do you do?
No. And I asked that question not because I ever think when someone leaves that there is anything you guys particularly can do. Most of the time you are right, but we naturally self-preserve our emotions. That when someone leaves, we'll find the scapegoat. Oh, they'll tell us it's financial, because clients never tell you the real reason why they're leaving, right? I think this one might be an exception to that rule. I think she is struggling financially, but like most of the time clients will tell you it's financial, or tell you they haven't got the time, or tell you it's busy with work, and we just take it at face value because it's easier than us to actually look inside and go, why are people leaving? So you should always Jacko Willink it, at least for a week, when someone leaves, going, what could I have done? What did I not do better? And like think, is there something I could have done? Could I change the program up really? Could I got more one-to-one calls? Could have been more proactive with feedback? Because a lot of the time I find that people leave, and I don't think this is the case with you in this example actually, but I find a lot of people leave where coaches start to be reactive with their training. So they don't either. They're not changing training ever. They're not going into their training ever, or they're not making any adjustments because they either one, scared of pushing people, or two, they don't know what change needs to be made. So they just go, I'll wait till next week and hope. And that next week turns into 3, into 6, into 7. And the client leaves and go, what's happened? And you look back and go, I've kind of just been paying lip service to this person for the last few weeks. So I think in this case, that's like, I don't think that's the case here, but I think you've done what you can. I think the best thing there is just periodically check in and see how she is. And I would almost, Dean always says with outreach, right, talk to them like they were like a 12-year-old girl. I think it's the same thing here. If you go like, how are you? How's the study? If you put pressure on her, she might want to escape from this. So like almost be very light-hearted in a, hey, you just wanted to check in and see how things were and just see if you can pick something up. And just if you're the person that's there for her when this touchwood subsides and is all good, you're going to be the person she comes back to. Awesome. So
just ask one more question on that.
Of course you can. Absolutely.
I am questioning myself on another client at the moment because I woke up to a message. She's only with me. When did she start here? I have it open. She started on the 18th of April. So like not even 6 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, let's just say. And she went for a 6 month, like I'm doing 6 months when she signed up. I discussed it was 6 months, whatever. And I got a message this morning being like, hi, Aisling, circumstances have changed and I'm going to have to finish up. I've paid for this month. And now I am questioning myself. And like, I don't know how to go back to her. Do I say, have I done something, or?
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't make it out that you're lacking confidence. You should come with conviction. But I think maybe if you can jump on a call, like because
I know she won't go on a call. I know straight out.
Why not?
I know she won't. Like even when we had our calls at the start, she always had her camera off. I know she won't. She'll be like, no, I'm not going on a call, or she'll just start to ghost me. So that's why I'm like, how do I go back to her by text message?
I think I'm normally very against the sort of like probably a bad client sort of thing. I think that it takes the responsibility away from the coach. But
that's why it's my fault.
I think you're right to look inward. But I do think there's an element here. They're not being get on the career tour, but not even in the first one they weren't properly like in for it. You're wondering if she came in and put in one fit out in the first place. So she was basically saying circumstances have changed.
Yeah.
So I would look at some way of asking some open questions here, and just sort of like that, like prying into circumstances. She obviously doesn't want to talk about what circumstances are. Yeah. What could be a good reply to that? Maybe something like, "Hey, no problem at all. Totally understand. Do you think that these circumstances will be something that will be solved quickly or take a long time?" And then maybe offer a pause.
Okay.
Because if she signed to a 6 month contract, I'm not saying you should be, but you could be harsh. And she's not willing to tell you the circumstances. You've got no reason not to say, well, we did sign a 6 month agreement. But I would start with like how long do you feel? Maybe something like that. Something maybe a bit better worded than what I've got. But something to try and find out at least the length without having to tell you, and then go, I could offer a pause.
Perfect.
Mark Kane, if you've got anything you'd add to that?
To be fair, to be honest with you, I think I had last month where I lost 6 in a month, which for me was like wow, because I'd not lost anyone in 5 months, and I was like shit. Do you understand? Thinking, what have I done here? And I think what Simon said there, like I definitely took time to reflect and look in and go, okay, right, what am I doing wrong? Because as much as we don't think we are, there's definitely something that we're always doing. There's something that could be like lacking touch points, or it could be like Simon said, program changing on. And for me, I think it was definitely lacking touch points. It was like I'm still touch pointing enough, but I think when someone needs potentially that little bit more than others. That's what I've noticed. Like some people do need that 2 to 3 touch points. Some people need 1 a week. So I just have them down into categories now, so I can work with them people a little bit closer. And therefore, someone said to me the other day, I felt heard. That for me as a coach was a good thing to hear, because it was like they feel like I'm spending that time with them. So as soon as there's a problem, as soon as I see a problem, it's like, right, let's jump on a call straight away. As soon as I see something arise, it's like, okay, let's do it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, I think in the past I've left it for too long, 2 to 3 weeks, and being like, oh, let's just see. I don't want the headache of it, but I'm like, I'm a coach. I want to be working with these guys. Like, same thing. It's like the next day, let's jump on a call tomorrow. Let's go over this problem together. That's how I've found working. It's helped retention rate massively. I'm not going to lie.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at sort of that, it's not necessarily the amount of touch points, it's making sure people feel heard. I think the more in general, what's a coaching thing, obviously this is it's maybe too late for this girl, but the more you can feel like they are not in control, you're still in control of how to do, but they have an input in what they're doing, the more likely they are to be okay, whether you do 5 touch points or 1 touch point. Like for sake of, I got on I'm training Jenna's fiance. And when I got on my monthly call with him, I even asked, like, look, how are you with touch points at the moment? Like, are you happy with a couple I send you a week? Do you want more? Do you want less? And like, even things like that you wouldn't ask is like, you almost like, you don't want your clients telling you how to run your business. And I'm like, no, I want that. And like this week in his check-in, I was like, hey, you mentioned in your check-in feedback that you quite like that we buffered some calories this week. Is that something you'd want to do more regularly? Or is it like I can change your nutrition for that. If that's something you feel like you can adhere to. It's almost like, look, I will do all the admin behind the scenes. You just tell me how you want to run this. And sometimes it feels like it takes power away from the coach. I think it adds power to the coach, because everything is so much. The client is hurt. They are driving. They are like, you know, when you go and I've never done this, but you know, when you go like driving a motor car, like around a track, around Silverstone or something like that, you're driving the car, but the instructor is there, made with the pedals, made with a different set of wheels, and he is telling you where to go, when to put the foot down. It's exactly the same. We are the assistance driver telling us when to put the foot down, but the client is driving. So I think with regards to that, I think it's good to look inwards. I don't think you should let it get too much to you. And also remember, the bigger your client base gets, the more drop-offs. So I don't necessarily have an exact percentage of this, but I was chatting to my client Lorenzo, and he was like, he had a moment we had like a similar to market, 6 people drop off. And I was like, yeah, but when he started with me, he had an average of 3 months retention. Now he has an average of 6 to 9 months retention. And he's got 50 clients. So like 2% of 50 clients and 2% of 15 clients. It's a very, very different ballgame. So you're going to go, oh, that's 6 people, but actually that's probably better than it was when it was 1 person when you had 5 clients. It's not a quarter of your client base. So like, I think when you look at, if you look at this, you've got like, 39 plus 21 people. That's a big old number. So like, you're going to get a little bit of natural attrition. Obviously, this girl was very, very quick, and I think maybe she just wasn't ready for that program. Yeah. It's a shame she won't be ready for a call. I think that is probably the answer. But I think maybe see how long ask about how long it takes, and then maybe just suggest it. Just maybe even just go, look, I know you're probably going to say no to a call. I know you don't like this. However, if there's something I can do to help you in this situation, even if it's not via coaching, just to get you through this period of time where circumstances have changed, I think it's worth giving it a go. And if she says no, absolutely not, then
okay. Can I just ask one more question? And I'm sure Mark and King can add to this as well. When you do actually get them on the call, what do you say? Like, what do you say to them?
I think that's it's quite awkward sometimes, depending on the person. Like, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's like, but it's whether you portray it as awkward, if that makes sense. I think like if I was to show up and go, how are you? It's like, of course it's gonna be awkward, but like if you bring the energy type of thing as you would if you were doing a call with them originally, set that tone, just talk to them as the human and then go from there. I think it is awkward, I'm not gonna lie, because you're also going into a call where you're going separate ways. So it's like
like a breakup.
Yeah, that's exactly like it, yeah.
I think don't pretend there's not an elephant in the room. So
Yeah.
like, hey, how's it going? Oh, I see you lost 0.6 last week. That was pretty good. Like, I would just go, right, I would open questions and I'd just be like, let's use this girl as example. Run me through your circumstances.
Yeah.
And just let her open up about what she's doing and then play off that. So if someone, I'll give you an example. Like we Kean did we said came off SMU. Originally was going to be in November, and he actually stayed until February. Right now, that different because he basically was like, I can't afford it, so I got him on a call. I just said, cool, run me through everything. Run me through your circumstances. Run me through the next 6 months. He was moving to Spain, and then he's moved from Spain, getting married, then he's moved from there to Dubai. He has tons of stuff going on. And we just ran through his finance and go, cool, right. So this is where you're at. This is what you need to cut. I was like, right. And where do you want to be long? Because he was getting coached by me as well, right, at the time. So I was like, what's the end goal for this year? Because I want to get a bigger business and want more results from my clients, want to make more of an impact. Okay. Well, do you reckon if you just cut the coaching side of things, as the physique isn't your priority, that you feel that SMU would actually still benefit you for a little while? And he did another 3 months. But what people do when circumstances change, you have to panic. We've probably all had that feeling. We've had a number of client drop-offs or early in our career when we're struggling for money. And we just think, I'm going to cut everything. We look through our bank balance and we look for the biggest numbers. We're not looking for what's going to be the most impactful to our lives. We just look for big numbers. So we can end up cutting things that are actually really valuable to us, that's worth it. And that's the thing. How do we show the value? And in that conversation with her, if you have like, run me through your circumstances, and how could you link the things that she's talking about while she's talking to what things your coaching can offer, and explain them without being pressured? It's just like, okay, here's what we could do. Oh, I'm just feeling like I haven't got the time commitment to this. Okay, what's the time commitment do you have? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, what we could do, we could play around with training so you can only maybe get in 1 time a week, and we'll do a couple of home workouts. How does that sound? That sounds really good. From a nutrition standpoint, what you're struggling with. Oh, well, I know the food prep company. Can you expense that? Yeah, I could. Yeah, no problem. I'll put you in touch with them right away. And all of a sudden, that thing that they were worried about leaving is now like, oh, okay, she's answered all my questions. So you just need to be able to ask, run me through your circumstances, and then just sort of like hear out. And if it's generally like, look, I can't afford £1 extra, and she's told you all the reasons why, then what can you do? But at least she's not made sure she hasn't made a big mistake by jumping on something because she assumed there was a problem when actually you could solve that problem. How many clients think they want an endless diet and bail on the diet because they think your meal plan is the only way to diet? When actually, like if you said, no, I want a pack of jelly beans, you can go, cool, let's put in a pack of jelly beans. But clients don't ask, they just think they failed. The same thing sort of here. And if you have to open that floor to ask that question, so you can then maybe make things work. And if you can't, you can't. That's the way I'd handle those conversations. Start with an open question. Listen.
Can I jump in on that a second?
Yeah, of course you can.
I had a lad who I've actually been coaching now for 9 months message me 2 months ago, and it was like the message. I knew the message was not bullshit, but I knew it was like due to just an easy excuse to leave. And he was like younger than me, a lot younger than me, and he was like I'm looking to save up for a house and blah 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 blah. I sat there thinking, like I'm still young, like 21. I'm in not a bad job, and I'm not even got money for a house yet. Only sit there. So we were having a conversation, and it was genuinely down to the point where like I as a coach wasn't setting enough goals for him, which I think Sam will back me up on. When a client can't see a goal, they just think, fuck this, I'm going. So like we jumped on at the call, and I said, okay, mate, that's no problem. I said, but let's chat over it. Let's talk about it. So we just had a normal conversation like we did there. I said, what is your circumstances? And then we started talking about it. And he was like, you know what? I don't even know why I said that. He was like, just in the heat of the moment thing. And we said that we booked in a tough mother at the time. So he's got to look forward to for October. So like now he's essentially with myself till October, where I nearly lost him. He's going to be with me for the full year because I jumped on, realigned the goal, realigned the performance physique goal, and was like, okay, right, let's go this way. Let's get the holidays in. And I think sometimes when you use that goal setting or set a date, like it could be anything, photo shoot, doesn't even have to be that, whatever that may be. It creates clarity in agency, and that's what I've done with a lot of mine.
It creates a number, and it creates something to hit. It doesn't have to be a weight number, but just it creates something to shoot for. But there's 2 things about that you thought was very interesting. One is that, remember, goals aren't coaching specific. So what I mean by that, it's not that they are coach specific in terms of what goals are, but in terms of you could set a goal with someone with no intention of pushing them to stay. So okay, so I'm assuming that, like, the question you could ask once you found out what the circumstances are could be like, okay, well, run me through where you want to be at the end of this year in terms of your health and fitness, or what physique would you like to have? Like, go into that, delving into the why like you did before at the first call now, and then be like, right, so if you're not going to have coaching, how are we going to get there? Let's map out this timeline so when you leave, you're not left to your own devices. You've got the best chance of succeeding. You just seem like a nice person then. And then you just map out this timeline for them and map out the goal. And they might go, oh, well, I want to do this with you now because now I have a sense of thing. But you at no point have you gone, let me convince you to stay. It's just like, let me look after you when you leave.
Mm.
And the other thing with that as well is that if you're looking into the summer, a lot of people might start leaving now because summer plans are going to start coming up. People can invite them for barbecues. People are going to invite them for drinks on the beach. People are going to start booking holidays. So if they have these things start to pile up, we can work around all of those things with the actor. But what people are going to do, they're going to go, oh, I don't know if I can manage around these 4 holidays. I'm just going to quit the coaching because it's not the right time. Right? How many times have we heard that? So but if we can then go, right, well, when are these holidays? Let's map them out. Okay, so we've got this here. So maybe we'll diet hard, take a diet break when you're in Ibiza, then we'll come back, do another stint, and then maybe have a more controlled holiday when you're in Greece. How does that sound? Oh, I can do that? Yeah, absolutely, we can do that. But they just see it's not the right time.
Mm.
So maybe sometimes mapping these things out and mapping out someone's circumstances, because, and you can go down, and I know you're not a huge fan of the more tough love comments, but you can almost just go like, look, at least, and this is what I would say to anyone that has these sort of circumstances. And look, you're never going to have a clear run when there isn't going to be circumstance change. So you can either use this as an opportunity to learn how to stay in shape for, and get, at least maintain at this period of time, if not improve during this period of time, and come out better, or this could be another setback where you're starting again in the 3 months. It's up to you what you do, but, and I'm not saying stay with the coaching, but if you want to learn how to manage the ups and downs of life, it's always going to happen. Let's put a plan in place together. And that could be the way to get someone on a call if she's not willing to do it, because it's just sort of like, well, like, look, circumstances always change. The difference between when I get in shape for a shoot and when I don't is that either one, the end goal is so big that I manage the circumstances anyway, or that why is big enough. It's slightly the same thing where I just have to make it work. But there's never a period of time where something doesn't erupt in your face. We still eat food exactly the same way. Hopefully that gives you a few suggestions anyway, Ashley.
Yeah. Thank you.
So no problem. So to go into this from that number then, from the guys you just put in the chat, right? How many of those people are on track? How many people are on track to the target set? Again, as always, we're looking for a 1 in 4, and it doesn't have to be weight loss, but there's got to be a target. So if they're in a building phase, what's the strength goal? If you're in a dieting phase, what's the weight loss goal, or what's the measurement goal? But is it something you are tracking every week so you create the urgency? As Mark said about goals, the goals that Mark has just set will be absolutely useless if there's nothing to track in the interim to know we're going in the right direction. It's in hope of this sort of thing where we'll set this partnership goal and you just kind of hope that one day it'll just happen. No, you've got to be constantly chipping away at those milestones. So we've got 19 out of 33. Cool, so that's in 1 in 4, but we've got a few people to work on. Okay, so that's good. That's good to know. We've got some people to think about here. Kane, Ashley, Ashley, you can just do your one-to-ones here if you want. I know groups are a little bit trickier to manage numbers. 50%. Okay, that's cool. That's decent. Kane, where are we at? I don't know if Kane's frozen or he's just literally just sat here with his hands on his head for the last 10 minutes. I think we've lost Kane. So we'll go open floor. So he's on to think now, right? Before we go complete the open floor, just go through that list. Look at the people that aren't. So the 50% that aren't on track, Ashley, and the 9, basically 14 people that aren't on track, Mark. And look, do I need a touch point with these people? Do I need to take some action in terms of making an adjustment? Or do I need to look at things a little bit deeper? So if they're not on track, are we looking at maybe food pictures? What's the thing you can go and do off the back of this call to give them a kick up the arse? So a lot of people, it's going to be, can I ask for food picture the next 4 days, please? Let's just make sure things haven't slipped. And just, I'm using this Tuesday should be that kick to sort of like, right, we're going to take some action here. I'm going to start making sure those clients aren't getting lost. What happens often, right? There are 19 clients. I'll use Mark as an example. There are 19 clients where Mark wants to give them 110% because it's quite exciting and it's good for our ego to really keep happy with those 19 people. And then that remaining group, you tend to get lost and shuffle and kind of forgotten about because they're not doing as well. And it's a harder thing to admit to ourselves, a harder conversation to have. So what can we do now so that before second day, we're not going, please lose weight, please lose weight, please lose weight, please lose weight. To start noting down some actions. And then open floor. We've also gone through a couple of questions for Ashley. So I'll open the floor with Mark. And then if Kane moves again, I'll ask him. Mark, any questions you have, client-wise, nerd-wise, nutrition training, psychology? Open floor.
Sure. Yeah, I've got interesting one here. So I've been working with a client who actually she only lives 2 doors down from me, to be honest. And she has got, I know it's quite a close client, so but anyway, she's got a hernia that of course she can't really do much exercise with anyway. Like I said, it's pretty large. It's one of the largest ones I've ever seen. However, she thinks that I think she's trying to define science.
Abdominal hernia.
Yeah, so yeah, just off to the side. Yeah, so it pretty much sits on the side. So like I've always been, ever since they offered simple stuff as like stuff on like the VR and just some basic stuff, nothing crazy, just to sort of keep it moving. However, she comes to me the other day and she said, my weight's going to be up this week. I'm one of those type of people that when I don't eat much and my appetite's low, I gain weight. So I'm sat there thinking, is she trying to define science, or like, you question yourself thinking like, she was going like, I've not ate, but I'm going to gain weight this week. And I just turned around and then she was like, I was only sit there thinking, what was going on here? So like, I think she's pretty much convinced that she's convinced that because she's got no appetite, which same thing this week I've asked for food photos because I'm like, there's no way that you're shooting up 2 kilograms and you've not it. Do you know what I mean? It's not a chance whatsoever. So I want to actually ask the question: is there any way that her condition could affect that weight increase overall, or because like she's 100 kilograms and she is on 1,450 calories because she can't move much. She can't really she can't get out for a walk much because pain. She can't really stand for too long. So at that number, don't be wrong, of course, I'm presuming here as well, but we've moved it from 1,700 right way down to 14, and she's lost a stone already, but now she goes, I just plateau at this weight. It's like, well, there's some reason for this, you know what I mean? So it's like, I want to see whether there's actually anything that I'm doing wrong or anything that I could not know it.
Well, the first thing you've got to ask with regards to the hernia is has she gone and seen the doctor about this? Is there surgery to remove this sorted?
Yeah, so essentially she's been told that she can't do the surgery if she doesn't lose the weight. So she's already waiting. So she was supposed to go in for that last year, but then when he said like BMI and stuff like that was too high. So then she needs to get below 86 kilograms before she can even operate essentially. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I keep trying to create clarity and agency with her, saying like, in my eyes, it's a pretty life-changing thing. Like, you need to do this because it's like it's only going to get worse. So like, it's the same thing. I want to get it. I'll be honest. I want to get it in and get it to that goal pretty fast. Do you know what I mean? Like, not really, not drastically, but I want to get it there so she can be operated on. And she can go back to normal because I've known her all my life, so it's essentially a big thing for me. But like, it's just she has a lot of home stresses as well. Like, a lot of home stresses, but it's like she'll say that all she eats in a day is like a brioche bun and a yogurt, and it's like, well, you're not gaining weight off brioche bun and a yogurt. I'll say that.
No, she's not. Absolutely not. So I think the best thing to do. So I'm just plugging this in. The best thing to do here is like we want to go from this from a position of empathy, right? So I always look at this when people tell me things like this. Go, okay, well, what are the potential reasons why this could actually happen? Right. So is there a way that she could hold weight, if not gain weight, by eating that? Now, so we've got this hernia. Now this hernia will weigh something for a start, but that would have been the same the whole way through, unless just create more damage. There's going to be inflammation, so I don't know if there's a period of stress that could potentially hold some weight. I don't think it would be dramatic. How old is she?
54, 55.
Post menopause or pre-menopause?
Post.
So there won't be a cycle.
No.
So that's not going to have an impact. There's not going to be hugely amount. I mean, when you said she doesn't move, how little does she move? Like, can she do anything?
on average, yeah. So she like don't get me wrong, like they own like a family cafe, so she's on her feet a lot, but her steps aren't pretty high. So she's essentially just in one space 9 times out of 10, just fucking and flipping and doing what they do. But it's like I look at her average steps on the app anyway, and it only comes to around 4,000 top per day. And it's like she's got 4 dogs, and I sit there thinking like, even if we can, even if we could just get out in the garden with them or do something that's just gonna get us moving a bit more, because she can be on her feet. There's some days where like she's went and done like a 15,000 step day around the wholesalers, but then she's in pain for days and days after.
Pain isn't the reason. Pain isn't the reason why she's not getting a step in.
No, not essentially. Some days she says that it is. So, for example, she says she calls it like a heavy day. She'll say, okay, right, Monday to Wednesday, I'm in the cafe and I'm having a heavy day, which means she's on her feet 8 to 9 hours in the day, and then for the rest of the week, she seems to just be wiped out to the point where like she can't be standing long because the pain in her back due to the hernia where it's lopsided, and like the opposite hip gets pain because she's trying to counterbalance. So I just want to start to get her needle moving forward. I think that's definitely someone that's needs to be moving a little bit more.
Yes. I think from looking at that, is she on medication?
Yes, she is on medication. She's on quite a couple. There's only a couple that I even know. Do you know what I mean? A lot of, and same thing, she's constantly trying to take painkillers and stuff like that. So it's like so many different things that could be having an impact in my eyes, but that's why I want to ask that question.
That's why it's worth asking the question. So we could have gone straight down the obvious answer, then it's very unlikely that she's eating less and storing weight. But if we hadn't asked this question, well, let's give her the benefit of the doubt. I wouldn't have asked the question about medication. So to go on and think, first off, do you want to do that research? Even if it's not the impact, what's the medication she's got? So you can get a list of them. Do a little bit of research with them, just see if the end of them it will have any impact on weight gain, or water retention, or anything like this. She's going to be metabolically inflexible, I would have thought. I also think if we start to then piece together, she's got a lot of home stress. She's got the stress of her health, which is going to have a huge amount of stress. And she's 100 kilos at what height?
5'4".
You don't get that way without a few emotional connection to food, I don't think.
No.
So I think that the chances here there's going to be a much more of an element of guilt around what she's eating. Now, the tricky thing is you could go for food photos, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad shout, but I wouldn't be surprised if you just got what she wants to show you.
Yeah, that was my only worry with food photos there. It was like, I think the fact that, I think you are, you are right, because it does come into that thing of what the people want to show you, what the people want to share, and it's like, it is just sometimes, as you can imagine, it's frustrating as a coach when you feel like you're constantly being in like, come on, and then it's like, I'm eating a brioche and a yogurt, and it's like, well, you're really not just eating that, you know what I mean? There's a lot more to it, and then like it'll be like, oh well, she said, oh, can you resync my fitness pal to trainer eyes? And I was like, it's never not being synced. So I messaged her yesterday and I was like, I've checked over the last 2 weeks and the last 10 days, nothing's showing. Do you know what I mean? I was like, so can you either send me over your diary through my fitness pal link, or you need to basically start tracking again? And she was like, oh, was it not being linked? And I was like, it's linked so I can see as soon as you started tracking today, it was on there, but you just haven't been doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly,
and
I think there's an element of go on, Sam.
No, like I said, on my end, to be fair, I would say that it could be a little bit more of, okay, right, you can be more on the ball with that, and actually, instead of leaving that 10 days, checking that a little more frequently and often. That's obviously own problem.
That's true, but again, it almost seems like when the peers are stressed, the peers who don't bring shit intelligent, right? Because there's an illogical conclusion there, eating less and gaining that weight. So I think moving would be a game changer, right? I find it I very rarely see anybody, and I don't ask me necessarily the science of this, other than the fact that potentially, right, if you think of how we lose fat, right, we mobilize fat from the cell by creating some level of stress, which could be a calorie deficit, which could just be a training session, it could be high intensity cardio, whatever it is, it could be a stimulant. We mobilize fat from the cell, right? So triglycerides leave adipose tissue, and they go into the bloodstream. And to go into the bloodstream, they need to be oxidized, which means that they need to become ATP and become energy. One of the things we need for that is oxygen and a good aerobic rate. So I very rarely see someone, no matter where the calories are, get really in good shape on like less than 8,000 steps. I think that's generally the minimum. Yeah, so like we need to I would look at finding strategies to get to that target. Or if walking hurts her because of maybe the impact of her obliques, could we get a track pad or at home, or could we get a bike where she's maybe like doing a little bit of thing at home on that, which maybe doesn't cause as much pain, right? And then I think there is like, I would go with a call prior to food pictures, because food pictures almost just like gives her another thing to feel guilty. I think she's feeling guilty about her food, doesn't want to tell you, especially, and you started this conversation with, she lives 2 doors down from me and we're really, really close. So she doesn't want to let you down, right? It's not a random. Like I will share what I eat to a stranger, but I might not share what I eat if I'm ashamed of it to my best mate. So like, I think there's an element here that is more about guilt around food than it is about food pictures. So I would get on a call, open questions. All right, run me through how things are at the moment. Blah, 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 blah. Cool. And in those times where you're stressed, like what happens to your food? Like no judgment. I just want to see if we can fit food into your diary. I just want to know where we're at so I can help you the best I can. And then see if you can just slowly ask open questions to get her open up.
Yeah.
And then at the back of that, you might ask for food photos at the end of that call. Now you've created a bit of more of a connection where she feels more comfortable talking to you about this stuff. Now you might go, okay, for the next 4 days, just take photos of everything you eat and drink. There's no judgment. I'm not going to tell you off. I just want to see where we're at and see if we can make some simple adjustments. You might not even have to change anything wholesale, because maybe she's scared that you're going to see what she's eating and tell her to go and eat chicken and broccoli. So like, it sounds silly, but that's where people's logic goes. So if we can create that connection with her, I think we're going to be better. Ashley, would you add anything to that? Because I definitely think we've lost Kane. He hasn't moved for like 20 minutes.
I'm here.
But you're here. Are you back? Yeah. You're completely frozen.
Well, my image is frozen. No, I'm in my car, so I don't know where it's saying I am.
Do you know? Do you have any input on that? On that one with the hernia surgery and trying to get to be more honest with the food, if that's the problem?
How often does she go in toilet?
Good
That's
question.
one thing, yeah, that's a really good question. To be honest with you, I actually checked in with her on this the other day, and she was going every 2 days at the moment, which is like obviously, you know what I mean, going.
That's
so
something.
Definitely a factor, but it's like we were discussing this the other day, and of course I said to her, that we can start to pop a little bit more fibre, a little bit more veg in. I think sometimes it's educating clients with fibre, because sometimes they just think, go and grab a fibre 90 bar and they're fine. It's like, you need to start packing these things out a little bit more, do you know what I mean? And it's like, when she'll eat like a brioche bread and a yogurt, and it's like, you know, I sit there and you read on the flip side, things she's not even digesting a lot anyway. And then on the flip side,
Hydration.
Like, that's what I mean. And on the flip side, I said to her, I said, I'll be getting on with water. She was like, yeah, I get 2 liters a day. And it's like, how? I don't believe that. Do you know what I mean? Half me is like, I do believe it and I don't believe it, because it's
even that's not much.
Exactly. So it's like, you know, especially for digestion and stuff like that, probably not for air, essentially, it probably needs to be a lot more than that. And it's like, I struggle with water, and it's like, okay, well, can we potentially put something in the water that's, you know, even if it's something that's like, but I don't want that to be the case.
One thing, and it's just a general rule rather than particularly with her, you made a jump that the problem she struggles with water is that she doesn't like taste. So the first thing you'd ask there is, why is it you struggle with water? Like, it is a good lesson for everybody, is that when you ask questions, ask until it's so painfully obvious what the problem is. Oftentimes when people like, oh, I have a problem with split squats, we assume it's because they're hard. You know, like, so like, keep asking questions until you absolutely certain. It might not be. Maybe she doesn't like the fact that she goes to the toilet a lot, like for a wee, obviously not to the, or not what we needed to do. Maybe she doesn't like the taste. Maybe she doesn't like the feeling of feeling full of water. Like, all these things are going to have slightly different solutions. So like, there was a leap there. You might be right, but like, you might not be, and that solution then might not be as effective as it could be. Yeah, so absolutely unravel it. I think digestion is a good point. Hydration, obviously, stress management, sleep is going to be the big thing. And then even if she's not, like, let's say it's increasing fiber going to be a good option, maybe depending on soluble, insoluble fiber. But she doesn't look like she's getting much fiber in general. But could we support that in a very easy way that takes no effort on her part, like a digestive enzyme? Could we start? Is there any particular foods that you eat on the days you don't go that you notice affect your digestive system? Oh, do you know what? Every time I have that brioche, I feel like I get bunged up. Okay, cool. So maybe there's an issue with wheat and gluten, and maybe that make question our food, make her be more open, because now you've given her a reason to have that conversation with you. Yeah. Right. So those are the questions I would start to ask. Ashley, anything else you'd add on this point?
So it's actually funny you brought that up, Mark, because I'm having a client now. It's different. She has no medical conditions, but like that, her calories are incredibly low, like even from tracking, and she's putting on weight, and like she can't understand. And it's really, now look, there's obviously a difference between both of our clients. My client will get frustrated that she's not seeing results, but yet won't follow the meal plan I've done up to her for like literally to a T of what she has every single day. I've asked her for food pictures when I like said to her, like, maybe we could add some more protein or something in here. She'll get defensive, being like, I can't eat that much. I'm like, well, you can, because clearly you're putting on weight. She won't drink her water. Her steps and her activity are brilliant. But then I looked at her, she got frustrated this week, adjusted her check-in before here, and she's getting frustrated that she hasn't seen weight loss this week. But then when I have a question on my check-in form, did you weigh all your food every day? There's 4 of the 7 days she didn't weigh her food, but her calories are like 600. And I'm like, you have not gained weight by...
Are we Friday to Tuesday as well? Are those the days she doesn't weigh her food?
No. The day she didn't weigh was like a random Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But the thing is, I genuinely don't know if she is eating that much. I remember the first 2 weeks when she was sending me pictures, she wasn't having much on her plate. Like, she actually wasn't. And I don't know.
Does she go to Starbucks and have a caramel latte?
No, her stress levels are through the roof. She's a business owner, and her sister's gone on leave because she had an operation. A girl handed in her notice. She's now working 6 days instead of 5 days. She just, I don't know, like, she used to be the type. What?
She might be smacking on stuff. Stress would mask weight loss, but like she wouldn't be gaining weight like that.
No. I've actually took the tough love approach, which I never do. I'm really usually very compassionate, but this week I was like, look, we can't expect results if we're not weighing our food. Like, it takes an extra 5 seconds to weigh the food. If you're going to track it, just weigh it 5 seconds. I was like, I've done a meal plan. I've done exactly what you asked me to do on what you're doing. Please come back to me if there's something on that you want changed, and I will make it as precise as possible for you. But like,
that's good.
And like, it's just when Mark's saying there, I was like, this sounds so familiar. But obviously this woman has obviously medical conditions as well, whereas I just don't know. I've really
that feeling is like, and obviously it is always the saying of like the dangers in the dose, and I think that is like definitely the way it is. You know, the danger is in the dose, and I think it's something that I actually try and pinpoint straight away. It's one of the first habits that I get a lot of my clients when they start up to nail down to a T within the first 2 weeks, is like the simple stuff of weighing food portions, which I think is arguably the most important part of nutrition. And it's like, that's literally before anything else. Like, yes, you can make them go and get big wins in the steps and stuff like that, but steps, water, and weighing the food out, there's normally 3 big things that I can try and get them to grasp. Because, you know, I even had one the other week where similar situation. And I looked at the scales and I was like, right, 79.5, 79.6. And it's like that for 10 days. And obviously, therefore, wanted to make an adjustment, because realistically, I want to be doing it a little bit sooner than that to keep them moving. But once we jumped on a corner, I said to her, so let's have a look at that. And I said to her, and then I went on to the NutriCheck and I looked how much calories she thought she was burning through exercise. So I had a little bit of a look at that and I was like, okay. So she didn't put this down, but I had an inkling that, okay, right, spend up 500 calories for exercise a day. So I turned around and said, how's the exercise going? How many calories you burning? Just as a random open question. And she was like, yeah, like 400 or 500 a day, yeah. And I was like, how's food as well? She was like, oh yeah, I enjoy a little bit of it. And she said it, and I was like, oh, there you go. There was the nail on the head. It was like, she was actually just not tracking the extra food that she'd ate, because she's walked, she'd been in the gym and stuff like that. That's where I pinpointed that. Of course, that may be on the different situation to yourself, but there's always something that is like fine tuning in there that, like, if you can get to the bottom of it,
here's a little bit of fun homework. And I think if you've got all 4 or Amazon Prime, you'll be able to find them. There was a show that was on Channel 4 years ago called Secret Eating, right? 100 Secret Eating. Absolutely watched it. So on average, by the way, registered dietitians are off with their tracking around about 20%. Most gen pop are going to be off around 40%. So 40% of someone's calories is going to be higher than what they think it is. Now, Secret Eaters did a show. We have all these people like your clients saying, oh, I only eat 1,600 calories and I can't lose weight. And they filmed them. They filmed them for a week. They had them rummage through their bins. They had them like literally just they did everything. And at the end of the week, you got these two big long Henry VIII style dinner tables. And on one table they put the food they thought they ate in a week, and then the other table they put the food they actually ate in a week. So we're looking at oils, sauces, seasonings, food that they had out that they didn't like weigh, what we couldn't weigh, so they just guesstimated, and they often guesstimated it down. We had the midnight snacks, so someone gets up in the middle of the night and goes and grabs in the bag of crisps and completely forgets they even had that. We have people that track on Friday for the whole week and they forget what they had on Monday lunchtime. And I go, oh, that's probably 100 grams. So that show will really show you like what people. It's like a typical Channel 4, a bit like Super Size, Super Skinny, but that show will really show you the mistakes that people make. And again, there could be an element of guilt here. So before I go into Kane's hand raise, always thinking, as a general rule of thumb, when someone like asks a question of a client, reply with a question rather than a statement. So like the thing I would have done in that example, I think your response actually was very, very good. And I think the tough love was needed here. But I think the question you maybe could have thrown into that blurb was like, cool, so you wanted me to write the meal plan. We've done that. Run me through why that was hard to stick to. Like, I want to find out why you couldn't do what we were doing. Because if we can make it seem like, look, I'm not judging you for not sticking to it. I just want to know what made it difficult, because then we'll find something else. Like, it's the same way, if you're not losing weight, you're not in a deficit. So we just need to find a way of getting you there. It's not you're a bad person for not being in a deficit, or you're not a bad person for eating the food, and if you're eating more than you're telling me, just let me know. That's normal. I do it too. I just kind of, if you can give me the most information possible, I will find something that works for you. And I think that's the more.
I just jump in on that.
Yeah.
What you were saying there, I have asked these questions. I was like, are you actually being completely honest? Like, is there more you're not accounting for? And she's like, no, and my calories are so low. And now she's actually making me question myself, as in, like, could she possibly be not losing weight on these really low calories? Like, can you actually store fat on really, really low calories? Like, I know, but she's making me question everything, because it's week in, week out. It's like the same thing. And I'm like, what is going on? Like,
she's super stressed. She's working 6 days a week. I don't know what her training's like. Maybe get trained videos to take the pressure off her.
Shit as well.
Her what shit?
Her water.
Yeah. So like, if her life is chaos, but apparently MyFitnessPal is the only level of control in her life, I just don't buy it. Like, Kane, what were you going to ask me?
I was going to say about when people say they can't eat a certain amount of food. I think it's more when it's healthier stuff, it looks like more to that person. But if you gave someone like 2,000 calories of pizza, they'd do it easily. But if you gave them 2,000 calories of healthier food, it seems like a lot more like volume. And I think that's the thing that puts people off. So when it does come down to tracking, like that same amount could be like crap food and like cakes, sweets and chocolate. Or like, and that could be like 1,000 calories or so. But you give them 500 calories of like chicken and rice, and that seems like a lot of food to them.
Just on that point, before I let Mark go in here, that you could call a bluff. Like, instead of calling her wrong, say, okay, right, I've tried that. This is obviously isn't possible. You go with, I know it's not possible. Okay, well, let's see if we can raise your calories to, let's say, like a super shake. But I know they can't get the shake shifters in Ireland, but you can get like pea protein and some olive oil and some fiber and something like that. And like, call a bluff, because technically you've increased her food and she's lost weight. But what you've done is actually started to switch out without her telling you what she's actually switching. The calories she's not going to eat with the calories that you're giving her. And eventually she'll get so full that she'll go from like 3 bags of Jelly Babies to 1. And like, you could just call a bluff on that sort of stuff. In the same way that sometimes, and I think that you're at that point at 600, you can't really lower than that. But like, if somebody is on using Mark's,
I didn't that, by the way.
No, I know you didn't. But maybe in Mark's example of like dropping somebody below 1,400, because if she's not telling you that she's eating 3 cookies in the evening, she's not, fortunately, she ain't going to drop the cookies, right? Because she's too guilty to tell you. But if you take the potato out of lunch, she goes low carb for lunchtime and only eats carbs and dinner, then you're still dropping 300 calories. So if she's actually on 2,100 from 3 cookies, she's now dropped 300 from that. She's now on actual 1,700. So I think, Mark, you could play around with calling a bluff by just dropping. And I think, Ashley, you could call a bluff by increasing, but just increasing for like high protein based stuff. And if she's scared by the volume, make it liquid and then just work from there. Mark, what are you going to say there?
Is there any specific meals that she continues to miss? Is it like constant breakfast,
Good
constant
question.
lunches, constant teas?
Good
Because
question.
this is something that I've noticed as well. So I went, and this is something that I've worked out, and I went over it the other day. You will see a constant trend that I've noticed anyway. It's never always like one day they track breakfast, the next day they track lunch, the next day they track tea. It's like, okay, it's normally a breakfast, lunch, and then tea's not there. So for me, I was like, okay, it's the same thing. I pulled up on, I had a conversation with my clients and we went over the nutrition together. I said, tea's not there. Like, where's tea? I was like, but the first question I asked was, what did you have for tea? What were your teas for Friday, Thursday last week? And they were like, I can't remember. And it was like, there you go, perfect. So the same thing. I didn't go with, okay, I need to know. It was like, when we jumped on the call, I was like, I think you said you couldn't remember like Thursday, Friday. What did you have for Saturday? And it was like, oh, I still can't remember again. I was like, well, with the teas, I want the same thing. That's where I introduced food photos through lunch and tea, because it was like, okay, this is the meal that I'm missing. If I can give them that little tiny bit extra accountability. She started sending them well, but the portions were still just a little bit big. So like what I was matching up was like, you could see the difference. So like chicken breast was like that when it was 100 grams.
Yeah, and on that, and I would say this as well. This is particularly I think for both of these clients actually, but certainly for Mark's, because I definitely feel there's a guilt in there with her food. I would say if you get food photos from people and they're slightly off, you try and make the portion size work for that food, or you adjust something else to make that food fit. If you can then take food photos, and their biggest fear is you're going to like, I need a glass of wine or a bottle of wine to chill out in the evening. And I don't want to tell Mark about that or Ashley about that, because that's my coping mechanism. And I know they're going to, if I tell them I have a bottle of wine, they're going to tell me to get rid of the wine. And that's the only thing keeping me sane. Then if you can go, all right, cool. How many calories does that? Oh, 600. Okay, cool. So do you want to keep that in? Oh, is that an option? Yeah, okay. So what we could do, we could either bring this down and maybe not have quite so much of it, just so we can make it easy to fit in, or we're gonna have to take this amount of food out the day. What works best for you? And then all of a sudden that thing that made them not tell you about the food in the first place,
Yeah,
sort of go, oh, you're quite. I didn't get told off. Oh, maybe I will tell Mark about the fish and chip suppers I have every week as a family night. Maybe I will tell him about the cookies that I have at lunchtime. And like some of these things you can't fit everything in, but at least then you can have the conversation. Go, okay, what's important to you out of all this stuff? And now we're getting somewhere, and then praise them. Look, now we're getting somewhere. This is really good. Thank you for being so honest. And if you do that, they're going to encourage to be more honest. And so it's almost like if you can get that first, you want to ask an open question, like what Mark did earlier on with the hey, what do you have for dinner on Thursday? Oh, I have to, and then you go in like a shark smells blood. You dive into it, or they send you that food picture where they give you that little bit of honesty. But now we're going to celebrate the honesty. Now we're trying to try and make things work for them, and then just like that, all of a sudden that narrative they're telling themselves starts to disappear.
To be fair, I had that yesterday. I had a call with a client who just come back from holiday, and I was there thinking, we discussed when she first started, and she was like, Mark, I love my wine, and it's like, cool, okay. When you can say these things, and don't get wrong, of course, you want to try and steer them away from too much. It's our jobs, but like when she come back, she was like, yesterday's call, she was like, I need to really cut back, and I was like, okay, cool. I was like, well, before you were going, where were we at with that as well? Like I said, of course, looking at it, we look like we're having it 3 nights a week. It's like, yeah, Mark, Friday, Saturday, Sunday runs 2 businesses. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, how about just for the next week, we start to try and reduce that down to the next for 2 days, Friday and Saturday. And she was like, you know what, Friday wouldn't work for me because I wake up with a sore head on Saturday. I was like, okay, then. I was like, why don't we plan out together for a nice family walk on the Saturday morning? Saturday evening, maybe cut it down to 2 glasses, and the Sunday night 1 to 2 glasses, and try and make sure that we are keeping it in within the calories instead of having the takeaway with the wine. Like try and make a little bit of a home takeaway, if you want to call it that, alongside that. And I actually started to include the family into it. So just make it do pizza night with the family, like do it on whatever you want, do it with like the wraps instead of ordering a big one. Have a glass of wine with it, that's fine, but make sure that we're limiting it at 2. And sometimes she says away, she was like, you know what, Mark, yeah. Next week can we try to do it with 1 night? So I was like, of course, yeah, but like we don't want to make them think like they've got to hide, because when they do feel like they've got to hide, that's when it makes everything harder, I think.
Yeah, and also don't necessarily feel that you have to be so optimal. Like, is wine, and we're using wine as the example, and it's a great example, is wine ever good for fat loss? No, of course it isn't. But at the same time, if all of a sudden some person has that wine, rather than me telling them wine is bad, I'm like, I've had a glass of wine and you can still lose weight. If they have wine, they admit to wine and they still lose weight, I'm like, hey, awesome. Isn't that nice? Like, do you want to keep that in? Yeah, I'll keep it in until the point where they decide. Because at the end of the day, we can't make anyone decide stuff. They have to decide stuff for themselves. We are the guide. If I have an unhealthy habit to anything, I have to change that. If I was an alcoholic, no one's going to tell me to go to 12 step, go to AA. I have to want to make that change. So the same thing here is that all you need to be able to do is you need to be able to show them the consequences, the impact of things, and let them decide on the outcome. In the same way that someone that's like working till 4 o'clock in the morning because they think working till 4 o'clock in the morning will add an extra 2 zeros on their bank balance. You telling them all the benefits of Matthew Walker's book, is he going to change their sleep habits? They're going to go, yeah, whatever, Mark, I don't care. And like, but if you show, hey, look, you notice the days when you don't sleep well are the days we eat 500 calories more, and if you notice that the last 3 weeks you've not lost weight, I'm like, oh shit! And now all of a sudden that sleep now shifts up in their priority list, and they want to change it. And all you've done is show them the how it's impacting them now, not how it can impact them in 20 years. Like, hey, if you don't sleep, then you might be more likely to have a heart attack in 30 years. Great, that's 30 years time. How is it impacting me today? And that's the thing. Same with wine. It's like for sake of argument, she's more motivated by feeling groggy on a Saturday morning, or maybe not losing weight this week, than she will about her having liver cirrhosis at 30 years, which might not even happen. And she certainly isn't going to be motivated by toxicity of alcohol in the fat loss process. This is way too scientific. So, like, how can you showcase the impact it has or not having, and then just let them come to their own decisions? So you're just there to give the information and then make work what they say.
To be fair, I touched upon that anyway. I said to you yesterday on that call, I was like, this could be the difference between, like, we are looking at that average drop of about a percentage of her body fat per week. So she's 91, so it was 0.91 a week. And we looked into it together and what she was doing before. And yeah, she was still moving. She was still dropping like a pound a week. But I said to her, so like, this is looking into your nutrition. This is the difference between you dropping that 0.9 per week and dropping 0.5. It falls in your course. You're happy to drop it down and go more towards a pound a week and just give it that. And she was like, no, I'm not. I want to be doing that £2 a week, and I want to. It opened the floor for me to go, okay, well, we have to make that decision and go, let's look at taking a few. And she was like, okay, so if I do that, I said, yeah. I said, if we stick to that, we can still include the wine, but you just got to come back and a touch, and we can push towards that 0.9 kg, 2% of body fat. She was like, okay, let's do it. But once you give them that realism, it's like, you can see, and it makes the decision themselves, definitely, instead of you just going, like, we're doing this, we're doing that.
Absolutely. Any final questions, guys, before I let you get on with your morning? I don't want to keep your morning as much as I could.
Can I just make a point on Mark's client, the first client, and it's obviously what Kane said as well. Digestion, Mark, start tracking that, because I actually have a client that's on a lot of medication, and when she came to me first, like, she thought she had regular bowel movements. She was going like once a week. Wow. And it was obviously having a massive impact, whereas now she's still not daily, but she's like 4 to 5 times a week, and she has noticed we have noticed a decrease. So that would be one thing maybe that's what I track. I literally get them every day to tell me how many bowel movements they have. And then if they see, obviously then you can kind of track if weight has gone up the next day or whether it's gone down, and it kind of allows them to see as well. So definitely.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, I'd also, if you want to look at it further as well, I always track things like that on a scale of 1 to 7. The reason why 7, not 5, is that you can't put yourself in the middle. You can't just put 3. You've got to be slightly shit or slightly good. And I go, if you're below the middle point, you tell me why you're scored it that way. So if someone scored it a 2 in digestion, because digestion could be lack of bowel movements, it could be loose bowel movements, it could be bloating, it could be brain fog, it could be acne, it could be heartburn. So, like, just give me a little bit of information there, and if you can reply to that information and just like help her out, that's going to be helpful. And like, if you go back to coaching confidence, we're not too far from this lecture again, but if you go back up, we'll have one on the digestive system and the gut. That'll tell you what to do at each stage of the digestive system based on the information you're going to get from her. That might be a good lecture to skim through. But yeah, really, really good advice. Right, guys, I've really enjoyed this one. Have a great rest of your morning, and I'll catch you guys soon.
See you later,
Thanks, guys. Bye.
See you later.